Look, I'm really proud to be here. Sometimes I'm not always proud of being Australian. I think we have a rather lagging and embarrassing approach with climate. Nationally, it feels like we're still propping up coal. It's making it harder to get electric vehicles instead of easier. I'm interested in how we're going to turn that around.
Matt, thank you. Mr. Malinauskas, first to you.
First thing I'd say, I think we're all proud to be Australian, Matt. And I'm proud to be Australian no matter what, and I just encourage you to keep the faith. Because I believe in the power of the political process. I know people are cynical about it, but I believe in it to actually deliver change. And I, deep in my heart, actually know that Australians want to see action on climate change. They do. And they want to see the policy paralysis in Canberra end. And I think we're going to get there. And I'd encourage you to keep that optimism and faith. In terms of what we can do at a state level, it's actually quite a bit. And while they fiddle around in Canberra, I'm going to act if I'm Premier. One of the first things I'm going to do is repeal Stephen Marshall's electric vehicle tax, which comes into effect in 2027. That's crazy. At the very time that we've got to be encouraging people to take up EVs, Stephen Marshall wants to start taxing them. I'm going to repeal that tax, which we can do without a budget impact because it hasn't yet started being paid. But if they're re-elected, it comes into effect in 2027. It's already a matter of law. But the second thing is this. Matt, you and I both know that the world's appetite for coal is running out quickly. And scaringly, so much of the national income for our country's economy is dependent on coal and natural gas. And those days are coming to an end. And the question is, what's going to replace them? Well, the fuel of the future is clean energy. And the hydrogen opportunity gives us the chance to export clean energy to the rest of the world. It is a truly unprecedented opportunity for South Australia. I'd invite you to think about it this way. The history of our federation has been who's had the natural resources that the rest of the world wants and needs, and then build an economy around it. So in the 1800s, that was the Victorians. They had the gold and did exceedingly well out of it. In the large part of the 20th century, it was New South Wales and Queensland with coal. So far, this century, it's been Western Australia with iron ore and natural gas. But the fuel of the future that everyone is racing towards is clean energy. And hydrogen presents an opportunity for South Australia to have our moment in the sun. And that's why I've got a serious plan to deliver on it, not just because it's good for the world in terms of climate, but it's actually an extraordinary economic opportunity for jobs.
We've only got a few minutes left. I want to come to the Premier. Alan's got a question, so keep it tight because we've got some closing.
When we came to government, we had the highest price, least reliable energy in the entire country, probably one of the most highest price, least reliable energy in the world. We had blackouts in South Australia. We've turned back the chaotic, ideologically driven energy policy that we inherited from the previous government. We've actually moved to 62% of our energy now from renewable resources. We get to 78% in South Australia, not by 2030 or 2050, but by 2025. We've done that at the same time as lowering energy prices in South Australia by putting sensible energy policy in place, which includes a $2.4 billion interconnector with New South Wales, which will allow us to produce those renewable electrons in South Australia and export it to the most populated state in Australia, New South Wales. This will lower our costs further in South Australia. It will lower the costs in New South Wales and also the emissions. With regards to hydrogen, and I'm so glad this came up because we've gone through this entire debate without the Leader of the Opposition actually telling us what his economic plan is. When you look it up on his website, it says hydrogen generation. Please, no country in the world has produced a government-owned hydrogen generator to lower energy prices. Peter Malinauskas says to us already that it is not going to lower energy prices in South Australia. What it will also do is drive billions of dollars worth of investment in South Australia out because the private sector don't want to compete with the government. How on earth could this possibly work? The same minister that delivered the highest price, least reliable energy in the history of South Australia has got this hydrogen thought bubble. It's a con job. It is not an economic policy. It will not deliver lower prices for South Australians.